As we all may know, there are many obstacles and challenges which come with living with a disability. One of the major ones is inaccessible surroundings as well as working conditions that are not conducive. In this week's podcast, we'll be talking about accessibility and reasonable accommodation for persons living with disabilities.
Greetings, Kisima fam, and welcome once again to our podcast series on active citizenry. My name is Nosipho Mahlanyana, and today we're going to have a conversation on accessibility and reasonable accommodation for people living with disabilities. Our guest for today is Obuthando Ngada, aka Brati, and Charlie Gyasi. But before I allow them to greet, I like to put our guests on the spotlight. Brati, you're a musician. And
yes, I am.
Just sing for us, one of your favorite songs, just a few seconds.
Righto. Dizolibonga, ona elako igama.
Ooh, wow. Charlie, please back announce the song for us.
Famously made possible by Joy Celebration, but now a cappella sing by Thando Ngada. 20 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. Sit with me until 5 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to give you.
Wow. That was beautiful. That was awesome, gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right. Now, before we get into our conversation,
yes.
I would like to just share very interesting stats that is presented by Stats SA, as we'll be talking about, challenges that are experienced by people living with disabilities. It says the national disability prevalence rate is 7.5% in South Africa. And disability is more prevalent among females compared to males, with 8.3% and 6.5% respectively. I find this very interesting. Persons with disabilities increase with age, and more than half, 53.2% of persons aged 85 plus reported having a disability. The prevalence of a specific type of disability shows that 11% of persons aged 5 years and older had seeing difficulties, and 4.2% had cognitive difficulties, 3.6% had hearing difficulties, and about 2% had communication, self-care, and walking difficulties. Persons with severe difficulties experience difficulty in accessing education and employment opportunities. And this is the heart of our conversation today. So both of you gentlemen are sharing a similar challenge, physical challenge or limitation, which is
yes.
visual impairment. I don't know if I'm correct, if I refer to it as visual impairment.
Absolutely.
Now, please share with us, when did you experience, at which stage of your life did you experience your limitation? You can start.
Okay, I'll start off by saying I was born with it. I was born with this visual disability, which means I was blind for literally all of my life. And interesting fact, I've got 2 sisters coming after me who also was born blind. So yeah, we are 3 in our family that were born blind. Yes.
My goodness. But Charlie, when did you experience your physical limitation?
For me, I also was born blind with a condition called glaucoma. But with glaucoma, it's a little bit tricky. What happens is you grew up understanding or thinking that you can see, but as you grow older, the sight deteriorates until you have no more. So yeah.
My goodness. And now, as you were growing up, your childhood, how did it affect your childhood? I mean, you had friends that were playing outside, kicking balls, riding skateboards and bicycles and everything. How did it affect you, your limitation?
Okay, for me, my limitation, what happened is I could play with other kids, but it was initially, as time went on, initially apparent or seeable that, okay, this guy is not really the same as us, even though you can see, you could see that there is a problem with my eyes. Even when you look at me now,
Sure.
you can see there is a problem with my eyes. But when I walk or do things, a lot of them have mixed disagreements and agreements. He can see, he can't see. It's because I have taught myself to be independent from a young age into doing stuff for myself. Tando will be a witness to this one. He knows that I am a big advocate of being independent as much as possible, because there's a lot that there's a can of worms that I can open up, and we can go into why am I saying that. But for now, yeah, I've taught myself to being independent, and hence that's why you'd find it doesn't really seem as if you are living with a blind person or sitting with a blind person.
Nice.
But you get to notice it when I tell you, like, I can't see that when you show me something.
Sure. And for you, Prati, so your experience growing up? Prati?
Yeah. We've got similarities there with Charlie, in the sense that in the community, I was playing around with the kids, but mostly it was supervised. It was and it was limited as well. You'd find that I'd be riding a bike, but I can't ride on my own in the street. You'd find that I'd kick a ball, but very much limited. Although I had the ball and I had friends who were just friends of mine because I had the ball, but hey, it was my friends. And when I would give them the ball and I would kick around with them, it was very limited. But when it came to school, it was much more sort of lesser supervised, because the school that we were at was a special school for people with blindness or visual disabilities. So it was supervised, but not as much, because at the school they are more trained and they are more knowledgeable of the disabilities that I had than in the community.
So how was the response or the reaction of your family? How did they respond to this challenge that you have, and how did they support you, if they were supportive at all? This is like immediate family at home, the relatives, people in the community, generally people that you live with.
Okay. My mother, my parents, both of them, I have to commend them. They are the most courageous of all time, because it really takes courage for them to raise up three blind children. But for them, it was almost like they were just learning on the job. And it was just a matter of we'll try our utmost. So I had a lot of support from them, especially when I was still a child. But as a child grows up and they are being more of an adult or grow up more, it becomes more challenging for them, because they're like, we're going to lose. Is he going to be able to cope in this world alone, et cetera, et cetera. So it becomes an awareness thing, but the support is absolutely there.
Sure. Now let's talk about our topic for today, accessibility and reasonable accommodation for people living with disabilities. What do you have to share on that? Anyone can start, gentlemen.
Can you just repeat the question?
No. I want to get your input on our topic for this podcast, you know, accessibility and reasonable accommodation for people living with disabilities. So what do you have to contribute on that? What can you share with us? How can you open our eyes on issues that people who are living with disabilities are experiencing, you know, which require the society to actually be intentional in creating the conducive environment for them to be able to live a normal life?
So Right. Okay. I'll start off
First of all,
by just saying that, you know, all the stats that you've read out in the beginning, it just illustrates that everybody experiences.
All right. Right. He's experiencing network challenge there. Perhaps, Buchali, can you come in?
What I'm going to say is you opened up a Pandora's box, and I hope you are prepared for what is going to spell out of this Pandora's box.
My goodness.
Because what happens is with, and I don't want to seem as if I am maybe discriminating against other disabilities, but what happens is with visual impairment, I wouldn't say there is a reasonable accommodation. To say the truth, it's very minimal.
Okay.
Right now, if I should show you my video right now, I'm sitting here in front of a computer, and this computer I had to, in order to make it accessible for myself. Unfortunately, I can't mention where I am, but because I'm trying to protect the company. But unfortunately, even this company was not as accommodative as they could have been.
Okay.
But because I am an audio engineer by trade, I knew what to do, and I'm technically savvy. So I knew what to do in order to make it accessible for myself.
Okay.
Just gonna let you hear something quick here. I'm just gonna put up my volume. So what is in front of me? Here's a computer, here's a mixer, and here is a microphone. So I'm just gonna let you hear my computer speaking for a while so that you can understand. It's a little bit gonna be a little bit fast. I'm just gonna put the microphone there. Okay, so what you heard there is my speech from the computer. Now, why is the speech there? The speech is there in order to help me navigate the computer. If I, for instance, press a D, you would hear it say D, but now it's on the desktop, so it reads other things as well. You understand? If I should press maybe any other letter or button on the computer, it would read it back to me. And that is the function of the speech. Now, reasonable accommodation for us in terms of stuff like that, I would have preferred if we were actually helped in order to purchase the speech that we need for our computers. Because it is not any, like, I don't think anyone has like 20,000 Rand or 21 grand lying around in order just to purchase speech in order to use for a computer. Whereas when you buy a laptop, it will cost you maybe approximately 4,000 to 5,000 Rand for a close to medium range computer. Since you have to even think of actually having about 21,000 or 22,000 even to buy in order for you to be able to navigate a computer. Thank God to people that created a speech such as NVDA, which is non-visual desktop with speech, that a person can download for free on the internet.
Wow. Sure. Brati, thank you so much, Charlie. That was interesting to know. Brati. All right. I'm sure he's still sorting out his oh my goodness. internet connection. Okay, I'm looking at the time and I'm concerned that we're going to miss out on what he was still to share with us. Okay, so Charlie, you were mentioning your experience at a workplace and how, you know, people with visual impairment could be supported by ensuring that there's equipment that has got your, what do you call, back in the days it was braille card, and now with computers, you just mentioned it. Sorry, I thought I noted the
screen readers.
It's
fine.
The screen readers. What else? What else, Charlie? Can you mention? Can you sort of enlighten us on in terms of the challenges that people who are living with disabilities are experiencing? You know, not necessarily visual impairment. It could be any other disability or limitation.
Yeah, you see even the lackage of actually obtaining equipment that you do need. For instance, if you are a person in a wheelchair, there's wheelchairs now that are power wheelchairs, electrical wheelchairs, if I stand to be corrected on that one. But those wheelchairs are not everyone can buy them, even though they are a helpful source in the communities. And what happens is some people, you'll find that they can't walk, or they can't use maybe their upper limbs, like me and you could. And hence maybe you'd find it's only the hand that can move, but from the wrist all the way down, it's totally dead. You understand? And the thing is just that those wheelchairs, I think that if I'm not mistaken, they are quite a hefty price, maybe. And I feel if there was maybe a way not to actually give it out for free, I wouldn't say that, but to actually supply to maybe a half of the price, and the other half may come from the individual, at least, or something in that matter. And that's what I feel could be done in order for the person or the recipient who receives the thing to appreciate it much more. And some people may really hack me for this one. Yeah, but if we are given the stuff, we're going to appreciate it as well. I feel, you know, sometimes when you are given stuff on a silver platter, like say, here, Nosipo, here's a computer, I'm giving it to you. I'm not. You're not going to buy it. You're not going to buy it. I'm pretty sure you're not going to treat it as well as something that you have bought with your own money.
Okay.
But when you know you have actually contributed to this thing, you would be much more careful with it. I'm not saying everyone would break stuff, but yeah, we all differ as people.
Sure.
So what I'm actually saying. What I'm actually just saying is just that, yeah, those are some of the challenges that we do have. There's a lot more, like you know, Oscar Pistorius, who was walking with who was using artificial limbs in order to walk. Some people you'd find they don't have any legs. Maybe just be the leg was decapitated, just below the knee, or maybe above the knee. And they need maybe those artificial limbs in order to walk again or stuff like that, and they can't get to it because those stuff is expensive. So it's things like that is relatively for all these the types of disabilities that I've now covered, that you'd find you can't find relatively those things just wherever you shop around.
So Charlie, I want to go back, but time is just not allowing me to, because I wanted to understand. I'm interested actually to understand your journey at varsity or tertiary. How did you? How was the environment? Was it conducive enough for you to be able to learn like other students, or was there a special equipment for you to enable you to be, you know, a professional in the field? Okay, Brati is back. Let's give Brati some time to also contribute. Brati,
Yes, yes, I have been listening.
Oh, okay.
It's just that I was muted at some point,
Okay.
and the valid points coming from Uchali. And what I also just wanted to add was that, you know, with all different disabilities, there's different challenges in terms of
Okay.
reasonable accommodation or to be reasonably accommodated wherever and accessibility, etc., etc. You know, small things that maybe doesn't matter to a person, you know, for instance, if you go to a restaurant and you'd also want to know what's on the menu as a blind person, but you know, you don't because the menus are all cited and small print, etc., and things like that. And just in the workplace as well, to make the workplace as conducive as possible to a person with a disability, because with the stats that you've read in the beginning, you know, it's a thing that is prevalent. Everybody has come across somebody that is a disability of some sort, you know, whether it is physical or it is unseen, like maybe psychological, mental, etc., etc. You know, you get a lot of those, but as much awareness as possible
Sure.
from every person that lives with it and every family member of a person that lives with a disability, and for everybody just they can.
Sure. When you go to hospitals, do you find that the facilities and the staff working in hospitals are trained, or rather are able to interact with people with
Yes.
disabilities? What has been your experience?
You know,
Oh, you guys never get
it
sick.
comes back. Yeah. No, it's quite interesting experience. It's like in the hospitals, etc., and in all these different, you know, areas or from different places, different institutions, different hospitals, find that maybe at a hospital in the township, many people
Especially.
are very impatient. You know, you get nurses and staff that are very impatient with people that lives with disabilities. You know, I've had countless, you know, experiences from people that I know and that I've experienced myself. You know, people who would maybe think that, no, man, there's nothing wrong with you. You're faking literally your blindness and what's wrong with you, etc., etc. And when you take it up with management, you know, it's a thing of unawareness, and there's no sort of punitive measures that gets to be against them. So it's different experiences where you find that maybe in a place much more weller off, there's much more understanding.
Yes.
Even if there's not a lot of awareness, there's a lot of patience and understanding and willingness to actually learn what to do and how to accommodate somebody with a disability of any sort.
I was actually told in a public facility that no, buddy, you are playing blind. Stop playing blind. There's people who are actually blind. Stop playing blind. And I was like, but I'm blind. And they were like, no, you can't be walking like a normal sighted person, but you're blind. but I'm using my cane.
Yeah.
They want to hear about it. So,
and you've got a dog, right, as well?
Yes. I've got a guide dog now,
Okay.
which I recently got.
Quickly, gentlemen, I just want to know, maybe 1-2 minutes each. Ubrati is a musician.
Yes.
He trains people on musical instruments. He's a radio presenter. There's so much that he does. Now Charlie as a sound engineer, a radio presenter, and there's so much that you guys are doing. Niyenze njani? Like nifike njani apha? Just a summary. I'm fascinated.
Yes. Yeah. No, man, you know, it's really all about, you know, learning it and learning up your craft. And when you've learned it, you just execute it to the best of your knowledge and ability. And when people see you do it, like in my case, when I'm directing music, directing vocals, You know, people get to be amazed. Some even ask me, Aibo, yeah, and I'm like, some things you don't need to really, you don't need to see. But it's really all about executing your skill to the best of your knowledge and ability. And it's not about the disability that you have or the impediment that you have that seem to block whatever. If you can do it and you know you can do it, it's a matter of just willpower.
Sure. And for you, Charlie?
For me, it has been tenacity and actually having the drive to actually know what I want and getting what I want. If anyone will tell you about me, people who knows me, they'll tell you I am a go-getter, not a person that actually waits for something to come to. Yes, I don't wait for something to come to me. If something is out of my reach, I bring it into my reach by force and by might.
Wow.
So in order to so because I want, in order to make sure that, as I've said before, I am a fanatic of making sure that I am and the people around me are as independent as possible.
Wow.
So
sure.
In order to make sure that I get where I am right now, it was sheer power and sheer will. When I look back at all of the things that I've done in order to get here,
Amen.
I would look at myself, really?
Amen.
Is it me?
Wow.
Did I accomplish those things?
Sure.
Because if you look at it, some places, when I say there was some places where you could find it was really impossible to get over. There are those times where you see, it's impossible, but you just have to grit your teeth and smile and just make it through.
Sure. Hi, my goodness. Okay, let's close. Let's close, gentlemen. But I'm sure we need to have this conversation again. Time was just not enough. You've got so much content to share. Bratty, what can you then say to us? When I say us, people who are not experiencing limitations as you guys are. And yes, what can you share with us in terms of enabling, people with physical disabilities or even a mental disability for that matter? How can we work with such, members of our families and communities so that abantu bangazifilishi as if they are outcasts in the community? I mean, in the context of creating reasonable accommodation or accommodating them and making them feel part of our families, part of our communities, part of our society, even in the local churches. I know sometimes abazalwane don't even know, how do you then interact with uprati? You don't even know, but please share the joke about you when you went to your the other company that where you were going to start working. You were joining a company work, and then I remember you shared that story. 1 minute, quickly. Bratty.
I'm just quickly going to tell you very quickly about an incident that I had at a place that I worked. So I was walking towards the staircase, and as soon as I was reaching it, the secretary was like, and he quickly ran to call up his colleague so that they can lift me up. Hey, so he wanted to help, but
the network is bad. The network is bad. Okay, no, I think let's just close it off here, Bratty. Your network is failing you.
It's failing.
Yeah, we couldn't hear the last part, and I so much wanted you to actually share that one. Anyway,
but yeah.
You back. Quickly share it. You back.
Okay, so I was approaching this staircase, and as I was just about to get on it, the security guards was stopping me, and he was running.
No.
Let's to go and call up a colleague so that they can quickly And I was laughing, and I was actually quite muscular guys that actually lifted me up, and I waited for them to actually lift me all the way up the stairs. And as soon as I was up, I was like, no, Ben, because when you got with the stairs. So the moral of the story was like, they wanted to help, but they didn't know.
My goodness, so omnye wambamba emilenzeni omnye wambamba emagxeni. Anyway, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. Like I said earlier on, I feel that there's more that you have to share with us, you know, or with the community, actually. I'm not saying us as in this, us and them, we together, but yes. Charlie?
Before we close it off, can I share something with you before we leave?
Sure.
I'm just gonna play a little something, and you're gonna be surprised to hear this. But I hope you like it because it has your name on it. You ready for this?
Yes.
Here we go. Nosipho Mashanyana on the Kisima podcast. Get it now wherever you get your podcast. Today.
Oh, sweet. Oh, that's so sweet, Charlie. Thank you. Wow. Sure. So creative.
Those are the kinds of things that we do, and you can even go further and do some more stuff on it. But as I was sitting here, I was just thinking, what can I do to thank her?
Oh, that's so sweet, man. That's so sweet. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Definitely, we need to meet again. We need to continue with this conversation. We need to empower each other. You know, this is active citizenry. And the aim is to encourage, you doing things that I cannot do as an able-bodied person. You know, I've been saying to Prati, I need to come for music lessons. So yes, thank you. Until next time, thank you to our Kisima family for always joining us and being loyal in your support to Kisima Radio. Let's meet again next week on Friday, same time. Kisima Radio, heart-to-heart communication.
We trust that you enjoyed this episode's week of Active Citizenry. Be sure to join this Friday only on the Kisima Facebook page. Kisima Radio, heart-to-heart communication.